Hey everybody, have you ever ordered a canoe online, imagined yourself gliding over a calm lake, only to get it home and find it feels way too narrow or too flimsy for the kind of fishing trips you had in mind? I've been there. My last paddle purchase turned out to be a pretty picture on the website but a disappointment once I tried to actually get on the water. That's why today I'm digging into the Old Town Canoes and Kayaks Discovery 119 Solo Canoe before you click add to cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why the 119 can be such a tempting pick. It's an 11-foot 9-inch solo kayak cannon hybrid that promises a tough 3-layer molded polyethylene hull, a 500-pound capacity, and a sleek look that you'd expect from a name like Old Town. The price point sits in the mid-range for entry-level canoes, so the question is really whether you get enough bang for your buck or if you're better off spending a little more for a higher volume hull. Who should consider this model? If you're a weekend paddler who wants a single-person boat that's easy to transport and can handle a modest load of gear, think a small cooler, a couple of rods, and maybe a portable chair, this is a solid candidate. The nylon webbed seats are UV-resistant and breathable, which means you won't be stuck on a hot seat after a couple of hours in the sun. The canoe's weight, at just under 80 pounds, makes it manageable for a one-person launch. You can lift it onto a trailer or even carry it up a short incline with the built-in handles, and the 3-layer hull helps dampen the usual flex you'd notice in a thinner plastic kayak. Now, who might want to skip it? If you're planning on serious river work, whitewater runs, or you need to haul a larger load, say, a full-size tackle box, a camping stove, and a 15-gallon water jug for an overnight trip, this hull will start to feel cramped, and the 500-pound rating, while technically correct, will compromise stability once you approach the upper limits. Likewise, anyone who expects a high-performance racing canoe will be disappointed. The Discovery 119 is built for stability and ease of handling, not speed. Let's unpack the practical strengths that show up when you actually take it out. The first thing I noticed on my test paddle was how quickly the boat tracks straight. Because the hull shape is relatively narrow and the 3-layer construction keeps the bottom stiff, you get a steady glide with minimal steering correction. That makes it great for a beginner who wants to focus on balance without fighting a constantly yawing boat. The seat design is also a win. The webbing is thick enough to support a 500-pound load without digging into the back, yet the weave is open enough that sweat can evaporate, preventing that clammy feeling after a few hours on hot water. Another point that often goes unnoticed is the boat's agile, stable claim. In practice, it really means you can tip the canoe a little to get into a shallow marsh or launch from a low dock without feeling like it's going to flip. I tried launching from a sandy beach with a single person and a loaded cooler, and the canoe sliced through the shallow water without the bow nosediving, a common problem in lighter-weight plastic boats. This kind of forgiving stability is handy for families with kids who might hop in and out for short splashes. On the downside, the Discovery 119 has a few hidden trade-offs. The first is that the 3-layer hull, while tough, adds a little extra weight compared with a single-layer model. If you're loading a roof rack or a small inflatable carrier on top of your car, you'll need a solid winch or at least a pair of strong straps to lift it. The second is the deck space. The interior is essentially a narrow tunnel. You'll have to be strategic about where you store gear. I found that placing a cooler near the bow and a small tackle box at the stern worked fine, but trying to stash a large dry bag in the middle caused the seat to sag and the canoe to sit lower in the water, reducing freeboard. A practical weakness that can trip up new owners is the lack of a built-in storage compartment. Some comparable canoes have a small hatch or a removable floor panel that lets you store valuables out of reach of water. The Discovery 119 leaves you to improvise with dry bags or waterproof cases, which adds an extra expense if you're planning on taking electronics or a phone with you. That said, the open design does make it easy to clean out any mud after a day on a muddy river, so it's a trade-off between convenience and simplicity. Another nuance I ran into was the paddle compatibility. The canoe is designed for a traditional single-blade canoe paddle, but it also says it works well with a double-blade kayak paddle. In real-world use, I found the double-blade paddle a bit more comfortable for